Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I was thinking about how we now have unlimited duel rooms in which we can participate with various limited and recently banned cards at full power. So things like 3 Foolish Burial, 3 Vanity's Emptiness, 3 IO, 3 Very Fun Dragon, whose name I cannot remember. But one thing that we cannot do, at least at the moment, is play with the banned cards that were previously banned prior to the most recent, the most recent ban list. And so I figured, hey, I'm going to do a tier list or ranking the cards on how useful they will be and how good they will be in these unlimited duel rooms, when inevitably we get the ability to craft them and make them for these duel rooms. So let's quickly go over them. And this is basically just based on how good they are overall as a whole, how powerful the cards are, and how many strategies they can be used in. If they're only going to be good in one strategy, they're probably not going to be ranked very high. So let's start with Amazoness Archer. Amazoness Archer is like the worst of the burn FTK enablers. If you're able to summon an infinite amount of cards, this burns your opponent for just enough. It's bad. It's a bad card. Like, it's way worse than a lot of other ones because it requires 2 monsters in order to do the burn damage, and it's just like I can't put it in F tier, but it is pretty bad. Ancient Fairy Dragon is interesting. Anything that wants to use a field spell can use the Ancient Fairy Dragon to gain additional advantage. So things like Chicken Game all of a sudden become neutral. You get to draw a card, you get your life points back, and then you can search out another field spell. So it becomes absolutely invaluable. Overall, Ancient Fairy Dragon is very good just due to the fact that, again, it can facilitate things like FTKs, but more specifically, it just does a whole bunch for a whole bunch of different archetypes. It can be played in so many different things, especially with 7s being so accessible at the moment. Gofu is absolutely insane. It's like a free Link 3. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Gofu is absolutely insane, allowing you to special summon tokens, allowing you to be a combo starter, allowing it to go in, like, it also being a tuner, allows for Halka Fibrax shenanigans. Absolutely insane card, totally broken. Steam the Cloak is the younger brother to the Gofu, and is still absolutely insane. On it being sent to the graveyard, it gets to summon a token, was banned prior to Crystron Halka Fibrax arriving into the game because of Crystron Halka Fibrax. With Crystron, absolutely crazy. So, yeah, there you go. Blaster is actually pretty bad. This is one of the cards that, again, could probably come off of the list altogether, just due to the nature of how weak fire monsters are in regards to its actual effect. However, being able to constantly generate advantage is nice, but in context of banned cards, it's only good. It definitely gets better with the copious amounts of support that dragons have. But yeah, all in all, like, compared to other banned cards, it's hard to really say that it's better than, like, D tier. It's good in context of, like, the decks that can play it, but it's not quite the strongest. I think I'm going to be... It's not quite in the same tier as Amazoness Archer, but it's close. Yeah, it's good. Definitely could come back to 1, and probably wouldn't see all that much support. Moving on, we have Elma. Elma is used in, like, one specific FTK that is not easy to set up, and, like, is absolutely absurd, and it's just not easy. It is an infinite loop. That's it. It's just an infinite loop that's really obnoxious and annoying. So, there you go. Moving on, we have Cannon Soldier. Cannon Soldier is a slightly better Amazoness Archer. That's all it is. So we're going to bump it up a slight tier above, but not much. Same with Cannon Soldier Mark II, as well as Toon Cannon Soldier. These are all, like, the same card. They're just FTK enablers, that's it. Moving on, we have Card of Safe Return. This card is very interesting. It is used in anything that can basically special summon from the grave, which quite a few decks can, and it just allows for a large variety of added cards. You just get to draw cards while special summoning back monsters, or if you special summon back monsters. Just an absolutely insane card, and allows you to just gain infinite advantage, basically. Change of Heart is Oddly enough, not all that strong. It is currently at 1 in the TCG, and it's kind of sacky, but it's honestly not all that powerful. Some people are side decking it, most people aren't. It's just not powerful enough in the current day and age, and honestly could probably come back to 3 as a good side deck option. Not really something you'd want to see in the main. However, it is a bit sacky, so having it at 3 is a bit meh. But all in all, in terms of in a, like, banlist free zone, or compared to other banned cards, it's okay. Like, you could also do the same thing with Econ, which also dodges effects. So it's not really anything too special. I guess you're not doing the exact same thing with Econ, but, like, Econ is a quick effect, and it dodges effects, and yada yada. So it's like, it's okay. Cold Wave is absolutely insane, broken, busted. It turns off the back row. It turns off just a whole bunch of different things for multiple turns. So if your opponent is playing a stun deck, you activate the Cold Wave. All of a sudden, all of their crap is turned off, and it's the end of the game. Moving on, we have Confiscation. Confiscation gives you hand knowledge, but that's about it. Ripping a card out of the hand isn't all that big of a deal in no ban list formats, but more specifically, just in general, it's not really that big of a deal. While it is a very powerful card, it is not game breaking. The biggest advantage that you gain, and the most troubling part of the effect, is the fact that honestly just gaining that hand knowledge is everything. Being able to play around things like Nibiru that your opponent has for certain is way more important than like not, or playing around something like an evenly matched to have that negate guaranteed for the evenly matched is nice. Moving on, we have Cyberjar. Cyberjar is interesting. I'm gonna put it above the Cannon Soldiers but below the Blaster. I think it's strong, but it's not. It's only really used in stall type strategies or obnoxious strategies that want to just like mill your opponent out or like summon out random monsters. It's not really consistent or anything like that. It's just annoying, which is why it's currently banned. Yeah, there you go. Next up, we have Dandelion. Dandelion is absolutely insane. Probably S tier, but it's not a tuner. I'm going to put it below Steam the Cloak. If it produced tokens while also being a tuner, it would be absolutely broken busted, but the fact that it is not a tuner means that it is slightly worse. Delinquent Duo is similar in nature to Confiscation, however, you don't actually get hand knowledge. So I'm actually going to put it below the Confiscation. It is nice, you rip 2 cards out of the opponent's hand, but that's basically it. We have Dimension Fusion. This card's absolutely insane. Bring back all of your banished monsters. Oh, heaven forbid, your opponent dealt with them with something like, I don't know, whatever it may be. But more importantly, oh, you banish them for materials such as a BLS or whatever it may be. Bring them back, easy peasy, extra materials onto your side of the field. Phoenix Blade is used specifically in for Noble Knights to really facilitate their plays, and it does allow for a lot of FTKs, but honestly, it is very specific in what it's used in. However, unlike Elma, it can be splashed into other strategies, and the strategy it's used in is a lot more competent. So overall, I will say that it's better than Change of Heart, but Change of Heart is definitely better than, sorry, it's worse than Change of Heart, but it's definitely better than Amazonas Archer. Haven't tiered those, sorry. Jin is crazy. It locks you out of special summoning, but it is only used in ritual decks. I'm going to put it slightly above the Blaster. I think Jin is very strong. Definitely can't come back, but it's more so not really useful unless you're playing like Necros. So, yeah, just like not being able to special summon, there's a ton of things that could just kill you on the first turn. This isn't really the biggest of issues because a lot of players have a lot of outs to it. However, just like negating the effects of the monster don't really do it, so you do have to be playing other outs. Definitely very strong, but overall, it doesn't really do enough by itself. Eclipse Wyvern is on this list. It's so slow, it's not really worth it. It's okay. It can be played in like dragon decks specifically that want to banish cards in order to get them back into rotation, but it is a little bit difficult to proc and gain the advantage off of it. But I guess with the I'm going to put it up a tier above Amazonas. I just realized you can play it with the Blaster or with the Dragon Rulers, so it's a little bit better. Norden is interesting because, again, if we're talking about in context of no ban list or just like how powerful it is with, other unlimited cards, Norden's good. There's a reason that this card was hit, as well as the instant fusion alongside it, and I'd say it's better than Change of Heart, but probably not better than any of the two Cannon Soldiers. While yes, the Cannon Soldiers don't really do anything outside of the FTKs, it's the fact that they do FTK you. Norden technically also does similar things, but it's more of a combo. But I mean, the problem is like every deck can basically set up FTKs, depending on like the deck. They're just not quite exactly first turn kills. Anyway, Norden's good. Yeah. Fiber Jar is annoying as hell. It resets the game. It's still very powerful. Yeah, just being able to reset the game after like your opponent goes through all of their advantage, yada yada, and just like, all right, let's start over, is very crazy. If you're able to protect it, use your 5 cards and then flip this face up and then go, all right, let's restart the game as your opponent has less life points or what have you. Kind of crazy. Actually, no, it's probably lower than Cyberjar. Still annoying, but yeah. Fishborg Blaster is a tuner that can special summon itself over and over and over again. Absolutely crazy card. Yeah, it's a tuner. There you go. Tuners are absolutely crazy. That's all I gotta say. I think Norden is a tuner. Wait, isn't Norden a tuner? Oh my gosh, I think it is. Wait, that makes Norden like insane. Yep, Norden's actually a tuner, I think. Oh no! Anyway, next up we have... I actually don't know what this card is. I know it's like the Gandora card of some kind, and I remember it being used in some sort of FTK to gain like massive advantage, and I remember it being very good. I cannot remember the exact specifics of it, but I do remember it being very good when I read it. Hatronade is absolutely crazy. It's Cold Wave, slightly worse. Yeah, just slightly worse. And the reason that it's slightly worse than Cold Wave is because it just bounces everything back to hand. But it does allow you to like bounce your own cards back to hand and then use like other equipped spells, like for example the Phoenix Blade or Premature Burial or something like that. Next up we have Glow Up Bulb. Glow Up Bulb is an okay tuner that brings itself back, but again it is a tuner. However, I don't think it's better than any of these guys. I think Norden's just like straight up better than it. I think Glow Up Bulb is like one of the weaker tuners, but again, it is a tuner, which means it's a tuner that also brings itself back, which means it is a 1-card Halka-Fibrax, which is enough. Graceful Charity is actually probably A tier. No, it's probably S tier. Yeah, I mean, it's Graceful Charity. You could discard 2 cards that you wanted to have in the graveyard, like for example, Glow Up Bulb or whatever it may be, and then just be able to pop off from there. Grandel Golem gives you 2 tokens. It's a free 2 tokens. Yeah, it's, yep, yep. Agripane is absolutely crazy. This card just does everything for every dragon deck ever in the history of ever. Yeah, definitely deserves to be banned. LP, on the other hand, is fine. LP is like a kind of problematic card. It definitely brings cards back and is problematic and definitely shouldn't be coming off of the list, but no more than like Change of Heart shouldn't be coming off. Actually, now that I think about it, it's probably up here. I think D tier is where it's like, these cards could probably come off the list and they'd be okay. Or like, at least inconsistent. LP's like, yeah, that can't come back. Heavy Storm. Heavy Storm's interesting. I'm going to put it at the top of D tier. Being able to just wipe your opponent's back row is nice, but again, in context of like, compared to the other banned cards, compared to like in limited, in unlimited duel rooms and stuff like that, is it going to be crazy? Not necessarily. I think Harpy's Feather Duster kind of does the job a little bit better. Sure, being able to pop your own spell trap could be useful, but that's not really what it's going to be used for. Definitely strong, very strong, definitely shouldn't come back, but in context, again, Lib is absolutely insane. It is a tuner and a synchro monster that is easy to summon. Just, it does everything. It brings back more monsters. It gains you more advantage. It's a level 5. It's a tuner. It's a synchro monster that's easy to summon. Yada yada. Nightmare Goblin gives you an extra normal. That's basically it, but it does give you an extra normal. Yeah, that's basically it. Nightmare Mermaid can be made with one card, and it's like full combo off of this singular card, but only for Orcust. However, it's still full Orcust combo off of a single card, and then you could do other stuff with the rest of the cards within your deck. Last turn is actually not all that powerful. You could probably unlimit the card. The problem is that you'd have to understand the card, which we don't like. We don't like trying to figure out how this card works. There's like a 37-page document on last turn. Yeah. Last Will is absolutely insane. I'm going to put it in A tier? Yes. We're going to put it in A tier. Being able to just summon out back a monster, or summon out a monster from the deck if a monster is sent to the graveyard is absolutely insane. Lava Oil Chain is another Foolish Burial. That's kind of it. Like, it's a pretty weak card. I'm going to put it here below Heavy Storm. It's very strong because of what decks could use it. But overall, its effect and what it does is kind of mid. It's a little slow. It's very interactable. And, like, yeah, I guess it does set up quite a few interactions. But, like, I don't know. It's not quite as strong as something like LP that ends on, like, insane board. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it. It's probably actually better than LP. Because I was just thinking about it, and I'm like, Infernity has so many more options than it previously did. Yeah, it's better than LP, but not by much. Level Leader is absolutely insane. It just constantly U-links opponents. You just U-link. It's just a U-link over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I'm going to move Nightmare Mermaid down. I don't think she's better than Lib. Life Equalizer is also bad. It's just on here because it's part of stupid, dumb, annoying, stall-esque strategies. Link Cross is one of the best Link monsters that we have seen in the past. Absolutely crazy card. Still not better than Goblin, but definitely very strong. I'm starting to realize that Jin is a little low. Let's move it above Norden. Magical Explosion is also kind of mediocre. It's similar in nature to Amazonas Archer. Magical Scientist, it just gets a whole bunch of free monsters for free. And with Link monsters, this is absolutely insane. You just summon a whole bunch of monsters. Yeah, free material. Kirin is like, yeah, you could probably bring this card off of the list to 1. No problem. Kirin's fine. Genuinely. Even with a bunch of other Pendulum support, Kirin's A-okay. I'm going to put it above the rest of these. It doesn't really matter, but yeah. Mass Driver is the better versions of Toon Cannon Soldier. It is slightly better than Fiber Jar, I would say, but not by much, and not better than, better than Fiber Jar, not better than Cyber Jar. Moving on, we have Masterpiece. This card is absolutely insane. If it comes back to 3 in particular, where you're able to see more than one of it in particular, it's very, very strong, very competent, being able to pop cards, being able to tribute and be unaffected, having a towers, having, you know, interaction, just overall a very solid card. Easy to summon, yada yada. Next up, we have Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is good. The problem is you have to have an extra deck that specifically facilitates Metamorphosis for it to really be useful. Which does kind of limit, like, you can't use, like, Link monsters, you can't use Z monsters. But it's still very strong. You're still able to go into, like, invoked cards or whatever it may be. You know, very powerful. If you're able to get, like, high-level monsters onto your field, like, for example, with Dark Lords, and you're able to just go Metamorphosis into something like, I don't know, like, whatever it may be, you're able to just kind of cheat it out of the deck, and then bada bing, bada boom, you have a really powerful monster. Mind Master is just it's just Substitute, but for Psychics. It's an insane card that just cycles through everything and FTKs you. In like a million different ways as well. Similar to Magical Scientist in nature. I'm actually going to put it a slightly below. I think it's not quite as good, but it's definitely better than Level Leader. Not even close. Well, kind of close. Next up, we have Mirage of Nightmare. It is a free +4. Kinda. Kind of. It's slightly worse than Card of Safe Return because Card of Safe Return is slightly easier to proc, and you just get to keep the cards no matter what. This one, you might not be able to keep the cards, but being able to draw for it is absolutely insane, especially if you're playing like hand traps. Very good card overall. Next up, we have X-Saber. I forget what this guy does. I genuinely do. But I remember him being crazy. I mean, he's banned. Invoker. Oh, I cannot remember him. Someone tell me in the comments below. I'm going to guess he's above Jin. Mystic Mine. I'm not explaining that one. Yeah, Mystic Mine is... Yep. Shockmaster is pretty crazy. Basically, you just turn off your opponent's entire deck with 2 or 3 level 4s or something like that. Yeah. This is a Foolish Burial for dragons 3 times. This card is absolutely crazy. If you are able to make a level or a rank 8, you just slap this guy on top of it, and then you get 3 Dragon Rulers into your grave. Absolutely insane. This card is also dumb. It just turns off your entire deck. Azathoth is very similar to Shockmaster, slightly worse just due to its rank, but it basically does the same thing. Just kind of turns off the game. Painful Choice is Painful Choice. I'm not explaining that one. Plushfire is interesting. I'm going to put it above the Laval Chain. It just constantly generates more advantage, similar to Laval Chain. However, it is not a once per turn. You just constantly do it. Yeah. So having multiples of it is insane. Monkey Board, on the other hand, is fine. Honestly, like, this guy could come back to 1, he'd be fine. He has a hard once per turn on both of his effects. He gains slight advantage. The main reason that he was so useful was because of the Plushfire and just Performa Pals and Pendulum and all of that stuff. This card is used in an FTK, and that is literally it. It is only useful in that specific FTK, and is not very useful in others. Overall, a pretty mediocre card. Pot of Greed is fine. Pot of Greed is an okay card. Better than Delinquent Duo, but not as good as Confiscation. Again, gaining hand advantage or hand knowledge is very useful. Pot of Greed could be any 2 cards. Pot of Greed could be any 2 cards. It could be something like Painful Choice, or Gofu, or Mystic Mine, or Magical Scientist. Or it could be, you know, Dasher and Driver. So, you see my point. It's a mixed bag. It could be really good, but it doesn't really set up your graveyard like Graceful Charity, and it's not digging deep enough to really be that useful in comparison to a lot of the other things that we have seen on this list. Absolutely insane card, cannot come back at all, but it's not as hyped as everyone makes it out to be. Foolish Burial Premature Burial is fine. Being able to resurrect a monster is good. The major issue with it was that it could be bounced with different cards such as Hey True Nade, Giant True Nade, or other such cards, and this doesn't do that. This by itself is just like Monster Reborn. Like, Monster Reborn is strictly a better option. So, yeah. That's it. The only reason that this is useful is, again, because, like, you could bounce it and then use it again. But, like, if it's at 3, it doesn't really accomplish as much. Dragoon is a crazy, absolutely insane card. It's better than Masterpiece. It's just a better card than Masterpiece. Oh, this is in a no banless dual rooms with, like, Verte at 3. It's kind of, it's only really good as, like, off of Verte. So it's not, like, insane, and it's not used in every strategy, but it's still something where it's like, you can splash this into any strategy, and then any 2 monsters at the end also ends on this guy, which is kind of crazy. Redox is the better Dragon Ruler. I'm going to put him in B tier. Just a better Dragon Ruler. Earth is a better attribute, which means that it is way more useful. Sure, it doesn't have as good of an effect as a Blaster, but the thing is, you get to proc all 3 of the effects very easily because of the advantageous nature. Also, being able to summon a 3,000 attack or 3,000 defense point monster is very nice. I mean, 2,800 attack points isn't anything to scoff at, but still, I think Redox is a little bit better. Actually, a lot bit better. The attribute really does matter. Return from the different dimension is slightly worse than Dimension Fusion. That's it. The only reason, it's a trap. It still does the same thing. You just... Oh, your monster ended up being banished. You could even banish it through your own effect, and then just bring it back. Hooray. Yeah. Kind of crazy. Again, extra materials. If you basically survive, you're able to just combo off again and do some incredible things. Royal Oppression is very strong. Again, not as strong as I think a lot of people make it out to be. I'm going to put it in B tier. Definitely above the Tuners, above Metamorphosis. Probably right next to Pot of Greed. It's very, very strong, being able to just negate summons similar to something like Solemn Judgment, but the difference is that it is reciprocal. So if your opponent were to special summon, you can negate it, or if you special summon it, your opponent can negate it. So it being reciprocal is very strong. But again, you could just get rid of it through things like Heavy Storm or MST even in order to play around that. Self-destruct button is here because it is annoying and it facilitates really annoying TCG style stuff, where it's just like, oh yeah, my opponent just went to time. He won the first game through stall strategy, and then we just drew the rest, and so he won the match. Dumb stuff like that. Set Rotation is a fine card. It could probably come off of the list in all honesty. Maybe not to 3, but it's okay. Like it sets up your field spells. That's it. It's good. But unlike something like this, where it searches out the field spell while also getting rid of the field spell, while also allowing you to special summon a monster, it just doesn't quite do the same. Sixth Sense is absolutely crazy. You just get to mill 6 cards or draw 6. You just draw 6 cards. What the fluff? Anyway, Snatch Steal is a slightly better Change of Heart. That's it. It's just a slightly better Change of Heart. The reason it's slightly better is due to the fact that you get to keep the monster. That's basically it. Yeah. Soul Charge is absolutely broken busted. How did this card ever exist? I genuinely want to know, Konami, what? Spellbook of Judgment is a fine card and could probably come off of the list. Yeah, it's just a little too slow. It's constant advantage if it resolves, but yeah, that's basically it. Substitute is crazy. This card's absolutely insane. It's basically Level Eater, kind of. It's Mind Master, basically, except for frogs. I think Psychics get more support, so just Mind Master being slightly better due to Psychics being better, whereas Substitute is only frogs, but that's still like infinite material for whatever it may be, most likely an FTK. Moving on, we have Summon Sorceress. This card is absolutely crazy. She combos with herself. She does just about everything. Summons, insane amounts of material. Just does so much. Not quite as good as Nightmare Mermaid. Nightmare Mermaid is a 1-card combo, and Summon Sorceress, you do have to link into that link 3. But once you get there, yeah, you just infinite material. Do whatever you want from there. Create your own combo. This card is on here because of FTKs surrounding the rank up of this card, or something like that. I don't remember exactly what this card is on the list for, but I know that it isn't all that powerful by itself. It's a facilitative card, I think. I could be wrong. Do not quote me on that. It's above Fiber Jar. Tempest Magician is only on here because of FTKs. It's not the greatest of cards overall, so there you go. Next up, we have Forceful Sentries. Forceful Sentry is Hand Knowledge once again. However, I believe this one shuffles it back into the deck, which makes it slightly better, not by much, but slightly better than Confiscation. Being able to shuffle a card back into the deck versus sending it to the graveyard is quite significant. I don't know which one is which, but whichever one shuffles into the deck is better. Tyrant Neptune is absolutely insane. It is, again, used in FTK strategies, as well as just strategies to make it just absolutely insane. It targets a monster in the graveyard to copy its effect, which allows you to then have an unaffected 4,000 attack point monster that is able to also burn your opponent for however much damage, or just whatever effect that you may need. He's not even particularly difficult to summon, as well as since he doesn't have any any sort of restriction on his summoning condition. So you just summon him out, and bada bing, bada boom, you have a powerful monster, depending on what you have in grave. Tempest is probably it's slightly better than Redox, but not enough to jump it up an entire tier. Again, very powerful effects on all 3 of its effects, and it has the slightly better attribute. Time Seal is a joke. It can come to 3, no problem. Same with Yada. Which one is this one? It's Boral something... Oh, no, is this Topologic something or other? I remember that this is used in, like, an infinite combo with, like, any 4 monsters. Any way you can summon a Link for it, it's like an infinite combo. It's, I think, just an FTK enabler. So it's not quite as good. I say that, but it's like, it's an FTK enabler. It's still a crazy mother trucking card. I'm going to put it above the Jin, but below, it's definitely above Invoked, I think. Yeah, overall, very crazy card. Trap Dust Shoot could probably come off of the list and it'd be no problem. Ultimate Offering is very interesting, not as powerful, but being able to normal summon during your opponent's turn is kind of funny. You can potentially do more with it, but honestly, it's not all that crazy. Wind Up Hunter is on here because of Zenmain's Sins. Honestly, a Wind Up Hunter is fine. It's a fine card. It hand loops you, but it's mostly on here due to the other Wind Up stuff, and Wind Up in general being able to just like constantly generate advantage. Hunter is the problem because it is the one that loops cards out of your hand, but honestly, Wind Up could do so much more just given the fact that like if you have Zenmains, you could do other things and like go into other Link monsters. So I don't really think this is the problem. I think Zenmains is more so the issue, but like the hand loop is more so the issue with Wind Ups. Next up, we have 3 Zodiacs, in all honesty. Rapier is absolutely insane. It is just constant another monster, which in Zodiac is absolutely crazy. You go Rapier, sync or Xyz summon, get another Rapier, Xyz summon, get another Rapier, and then you have like a whole bunch of just millions and millions of material. Barrage is fine, like it's an okay card. It's decent in Zodiac. You could probably come back to 1, no problem. And then we have Broad Bull. Broad Bull is also absolutely insane, and just these 2 were the reason why Zodiac were tier 0, so there you go. It wasn't Barrage. Barrage is paying for the sins of Trident, but alas, it is on the list nonetheless. So there you go. That is it for the list. Obviously, there are some absolute power staple cards like the Mystic Minds, the Gofus, the Graceful Charities, and the like, but there are also cards on here like Time Seal, which is on here for... yeah, I don't know, skipping your draw phase. It's really bad. Like, this card could come off of the list, no problem. Same with Yada. So, there you go. Overall, this is what I would say is functionally something. The problem is, we've never seen all of these cards together at the same time, so it's very hard to judge where other things would go and what they would go with. So, yeah, there you go. Anyway, I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.